a mighty movement moving across this province like I've never seen before. Tens of thousands of people are coming together to say, stop SOGI. Tens of thousands of people are coming together to say parents have rights and we want to be respected and have those rights protected. Are we going to take a break over summer, or are we going to continue to fight? And are we going to rally and rally and rally? And will we invite those people who want to exclude certain people's rights, who are intolerant of your rights? Are we going to be respectful and kind to them? But will we speak truth and tell them that our rights are equal to theirs? And are we going to say no child should have special rights over another child? And will we make schools free from propaganda of a political nature? No more sex activism in our schools. No more political rainbows in our schools. Make schools friendly for all children, not just certain children. Will we tell the teachers union to stay out of our business as parents? Yes! Will we tell them to stop hijacking our public education system? Yes! Will we demand equal funding for private schools? Yes! Time to bring educational change. Man, she's noisy. You know, you see the disrespect, right? Would we go to one of their rallies and disrespect them? Absolutely not. Who are the intolerant people, the pro-SOGI people? So I'm going to just ask this lady kindly, can you move so we can go down with our program? Please?
Can I talk?
No, you're not on the program. Go hold your own rally. No, go. Yeah. Go hold your own rally. We don't need a permit. Thank you. All right, let's get on with our program. Now, we're going to start things off the way every assembly should be started off in Canada, with the singing of O Canada. So to start things off, I'm going to ask Paul Dirks. How many of you heard Paul Dirks speak on these issues? Okay. He is like a hero to us, so let's give him a huge round of applause.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm here today because our rights are about to be eroded. They are being currently eroded. They are about to dissipate completely. Parental rights, faith-based rights, parental rights. But I want to talk briefly about women's rights. SOGI, one of the basic principles of SOGI 123 is that girls in schools, in the change rooms, in the showers, and in the bathrooms no longer will have the right to set their personal boundaries around their own bodies. This is not only reprehensible, not only is this the height of illogic, but consider this, that recently at the BCTF annual conference, that they made a resolution that they support the Me Too movement, which I think has brought great good in general, with a heightened understanding of women's rights not to be sexually harassed. But at the same time, as they are stating that we want our women teachers, we want our girls in the schools to be free from sexual harassment, that they are saying that girls will have to share their change rooms and their showers with males who identify as women. This is something that our province has not yet heard clearly is within the SOGI 123 basic principles. And when our province awakes to the reality of the removal of the basic bodily privacy rights of our daughters in moments where they are the most vulnerable, unclothed in their private spaces, you bet that there are going to be hundreds of thousands and millions of those people in BC, citizens who are going to stand up and say, "Not my daughter." But SOGI 123 also greatly harms children by teaching them from the earliest grades that boys can become girls and girls can become boys. It is based on an ideology that believes that male and female are completely interchangeable. Let me say this to you, that if male and female are completely interchangeable, what it means is that there is nothing inherently good about girls and there is nothing inherently good about boys, that there is nothing inherently good about men, that there is nothing inherently good about women. Listen, one of the scariest graphics that I have ever seen from the SOGI 123 set of videos is a teaching video which shows that a group of primary schoolers being taught with SOGI ideology, gender identity. And in this class, we don't know how long the class took. Maybe it was a half-hour class, maybe it was a 2-hour class, we don't know. But at the end of the class, this video shows that the teacher wrote 3 lines on the board. The first line it said gender biology. And they put the symbols for female on one end and male on the other. And then the kids were instructed to put where they lay on that line. And these kids, of course, knowing their own biology, put them where they ought at opposite ends. The second line said gender expression. And they had just been taught that kids can dress how they want, that boys can wear dresses, girls can wear whatever they want. And so then, as you might expect, a lot of these kids are putting their names in the middle of how they express their gender just after one class. But the scariest part of this picture in this video was the last line. The last line said gender identity. And on one side it had female. And the other side, it had male. And those kids, after just one class of indoctrination, I will call it brainwashing, put their names not on the opposite ends of the spectrum, but in the middle. After one class, these primary schoolers were no longer identifying as male and female. And so many of these kids will be led down a path that leads to lifelong medicalization, to sterilization, and to mutilation. And our province and the BCTF are presiding over this reprehensible state. And so I call on the BCTF, and I call on our Ministry of Education to put a stop to something that is clearly ideological. It is not evidence-based. The evidence states that 80 to 90% of these kids that struggle with dysphoria, and I care about them. I love them. I'm concerned about them. And this is why the data is so clear that 80 to 90% of these kids, once they go through puberty, that this dysphoria will remit and they will settle into their natal sex. People don't understand, how is it that we have forgotten that childhood and adolescence is a developmental stage? What does a prepubertal boy or girl know about being a man or a woman? Especially when we haven't taught them what it is like to be a man and a woman. And so it is important that we stand up for the rights of the future generations. Listen, the medical community at key times has faltered along the way when it comes to things like the eugenics craze or the lobotomy craze that has happened not that long ago, and once again hijacked by a political and ideological pressures, once again, much of our world is putting stock in something that does not have a medical or scientific basis. And again, in 20 or 30 years, I hope it's sooner than that. I hope it's 10. There will be multi-million-dollar lawsuits as kids understand what has been done to them, the innocence that has been taken from them, the sexuality that has been taken from them, the right to have children that has been taken from them. SOGI 123 is anti-woman. It is anti-family. It is anti-parental rights. It is anti-evidence. And it is anti-free speech. Let's make sure we put a stop to it. Thank you.
We got a lot of work to do. One of the brave people that have come on board is Waldine. She's a teacher, a courageous teacher. Now, I have to tell you, over the last several months, we have been holding underground meetings because teachers are so afraid to speak out against what they are seeing happening in their schools. They are terrified about what their union will do, and Glenn Hansman and his threat of, well, they'll lose their jobs. Enough. We need to protect our good teachers. We need to tell this union that we don't want them in our schools anymore. I don't want Glenn Hansman near any child. I don't think they would be safe. It's time to stand up and protect our kids. It's time to protect our teachers who are so courageously now taking stands across this province. We've had 60 teachers show up. We've had 40 teachers, and we can't advertise the meetings because the sex activists try to SWAT and put fear into all the venues that we hold meetings at, just like they did here. I'll tell you a little bit more about what happened here. Some of you know. How many came here today prepared to be arrested? You are awesome! All right, and now we have not only a teacher who was willing to be arrested, but she's willing to get fired over her stand. Thank you, Waldine.
Good morning. This is a really sad situation in Canada, and I just feel that I have to speak up. Teachers have to get on board and find out what this SOGI 123 thing really is. So I've done some research and I've dug into things and I've looked at the videos that are prepared for teachers, and I find it quite appalling. So I wanted to share some things with you today that you may not be aware of. So there are some concerns about the new SOGI 123 curriculum I'd like to share. Some of these issues really need to be addressed. So from a teacher's perspective, I'd like to show you some of the lessons that I'm expected to teach from kindergarten to grade 3, our youngest students. I'd like to demonstrate with these lesson plans that some of this material is very harmful and it's age inappropriate as well. Kindergarten to grade 3. The first poster that we have on the SOGI website, easy to download, looks very friendly. It's called the genderbread person. One of the problems, however, you'll notice in the genitalia area that there are not 2 options, but now 3. This is very confusing to kindergartens, grade 1s, grade 2s, grade 3s, and all the way up. Another lesson is called the gender unicorn. Again, we have what appears to be a very user-friendly, cutesy poster, but the problem is we're asking students to indicate where they fit on the gender spectrum. Not boys, not girls, but on a spectrum. It also indicates sexual orientation and has them put down where they fit on that as well. One of the concerns I have about this poster is that it mentions a section called sex assigned at birth. So we are expected as teachers to teach that gender is assigned at birth, no longer based on science and biology, and that the environment helps to develop who you become, and therefore you can feel like a boy one day and be identified as a boy, or feel like a girl the next day. This is very confusing, because we know that feelings come and go and they change. This is simply false to teach these ideologies. Sex is binary. That means that there are only boys and only girls. Under very rare circumstances, a child is born with two sets of genitalia. It's very rare, and it's called intersex. But even if a male student receives hormone treatments and or surgery, he will not become the opposite sex. There are approximately 6,500 genetic differences between males and females. So he can choose to dress and to present as a female, but he will always remain a male. I have one more lesson. Very easy for teachers to use. You just cut up these cards and you have the children circulate, kindergarten to grade 3, and they introduce themselves to each other. Teachers love it when you have activities where kids move around and get some exercise. But I think if you'll listen to what's being presented here, you'll see the problem. Hi, my name is Mia. Please call me he. Hi, my name is Matthew. Please call me she. Hi, my name is Adam. Please call me they. This is for primary students. Imagine the confusion that using these new pronouns will cause, which can change daily based on feelings. And one more, lastly, we have another easy to use SOGI resource, and this is a boy. His name's Bailey, and it's based on a book called 10,000 Dresses. Very well illustrated book. However, Bailey wants to wear a dress. So he goes to Mom, and Mom says, no, you can't wear a dress, you're a boy. He goes to Dad, same response. He goes to his older brother, same response. So one day he finds a little girl that likes to design dresses, and they become friends. The problem with the message in this book is you can't really trust Mom, you can't really trust Dad. You have to go to your peers for real support on important issues. The other problem I have with this visual is that kindergarten and primary children get the delightful opportunity to create a new dress for Bailey. My concern is that in the process, these young minds will be imprinted with young boys cross-dressing and thinking that that's okay. I think this will just cause a lot of harm, and some of these things are just simply inappropriate for young children. Just the other day, a male friend of mine was in a public washroom. There was a little boy beside him, and he looked up at him with a very confused look on his face. And he said, "Are you a boy?" Well, my friend replied, well, I used to be a boy, but I've grown up now and I'm a man, just like you'll be. But the little boy was still perplexed, and he asked him, but how do you know that you're a boy? This boy has already been impacted by SOGI 123 curriculum. Another woman mentioned a story recently of her friend whose child came up, primary school age, and said, Mom, when will I know what I am? How very sad if you no longer have an anchor to your own self-identity. If you would like a copy of any of these lessons, they're over at the table, and we've made copies for you so you can take a look at what's really going on in the school system now. This curriculum goes far beyond just simply safety, inclusion, and diversity. These are things that all parents and teachers already support. But this curriculum is not really about anti-bullying, but something much more dangerous. Please get informed, stand up for your rights, and let's see this SOGI ideology that we're being taught to teach young children, we need it gone. Thank you.
I'm going to be releasing a video of a little 8-year-old girl who tells me about her SOGI class. You know, the pro-SOGI people are on these news reports saying, oh, well, it's not a class, it's not really being taught that way. Well, I'll tell you, out of the mouths of babes, they will be proven to be liars. We need to operate in truth and fact about what's happening here, and I agree with Waldine. This is not about anti-bullying. This is not even about LGBTQ, right? This is a totally different, altering our culture from a heteronormative society into an anything goes, no values, no morals, and to heck with your religious beliefs, society where it's designed to mess with the kids, to cause deliberate confusion, to undermine your rights as parents, and we will not tolerate it. Next, we're going to have one of our favorite pastors. He is like the Romanian rocket man. He is, yeah. He was the star at our last rally, people, so you are in for a treat. Coming from Romania, he's been there, he's seen it, he knows what's coming if we don't stop it. And he's brought along his translator, Flavio, right? Yes. Now, I have to tell you, I had the privilege of speaking at this Romanian church, and I want to thank, where are all the Romanian kids? You are awesome. You know, what a treat to meet all these young people who had such a strong sense of who they were and where they were going. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts as British Columbians for creating such wonderful children and a future for our society. Pastor Cornelius.
Doamnelor și domnilor,
Ladies and gentlemen,
stimați participanți la acest protest pașnic,
esteemed participants in this here peaceful protest,
reprezentanți ai mass media,
and representatives of the media.
mă numesc Corneliu Ardelean.
My name is Cornelius Ardelean.
Înainte ca să încep mesajul meu,
But before beginning my message,
vreau să declar aici pentru toți.
I'd like to declare here for all.
Noi îi iubim pe toți oamenii.
We love all people.
Și cei care umblă în spate cu plancarda le declarăm că îi iubim.
Even those that walk behind us with their placards, we say we love you.
Dar vreau să spun tuturor,
But I'd like to say to all,
nu iubim păcatele
we don't love their sins,
și nu iubim lucrurile rele, inumane, făcute fie în ascuns, fie în public.
but we want to say we don't love the things that are inhumane, evil done in public or in hidden.
Și nu vrem ca lucrurile lor intime să vină și să le învețe copiii noștri în școală.
And we don't want that the things they do behind closed doors, their intimate things, to teach to our kids in school.
Noi îi iubim
Again, we love them
și vrem să vorbim cu ei,
and we want to speak with them,
demonstrându-le
proving to them
care este adevărul și realitatea vieții umane.
what is the reality and truth of human life.
Vin dintr-o țară comunistă, România,
I come from once a communist country, Romania,
în care timp de 40 de ani am trăit sub un regim totalitar comunist.
in which I lived for 40 years of my life under the totalitarian regime of a communist dictatorship.
Societatea comunistă ne-a luat dreptul la proprietate.
The communist regime took our right to property.
Ne-a luat pământurile.
They took our lands.
Ne-a luat averea.
They took our possessions.
Ne-a luat dreptul la exprimare.
They then took our right to expression,
Și au încercat
and they have even tried
să ne ia cea mai valoroasă comoară, copiii,
and they even tried to take our most precious treasure, our children,
pentru a-i îndoctrina cu învățătura marxist-leninistă.
to indoctrinate them with the Marxist-Leninist ideology.
Am luptat împotriva acestui regim
I personally have stood and fought against this communist regime.
și Dumnezeu a adus căderea lui.
And in time, God has brought its fall.
Am emigrat în Canada
However, later we immigrated to Canada,
pentru a avea libertate de credință,
where we could have liberty of religion and faith,
libertate de exprimare
liberty of speech,
și pentru a putea exercita dreptul de părinte.
and to have the liberty to practice our rights as parents.
Dar acum îmi dau seama
However, now I'm realizing
și văd că drepturile și libertățile acestea
and witnessing that some of these liberties and rights
încearcă să ni se le ia.
are being tried to be taken away from us.
Încurajez poporul canadian
I encourage the Canadian population
să protesteze și să lupte pentru libertatea de gândire și exprimare pentru toată lumea.
I encourage the Canadian people to protect the right to free thought and free speech and expression for all people.
Încurajez părinții și educatorii
I encourage the parents and the educators, teachers,
să-și împlinească chemarea la care s-au angajat.
to fulfill the calling that they have undertaken.
Suntem aici să ne spunem părerea,
We are here to express our opinion,
crezul
our belief,
și durerea.
and our pain.
SOGI este o ideologie,
SOGI is an ideology,
un curriculum introdus în școală ilegal,
a curriculum introduced into schools illegally,
abuziv
abusively,
și pe ascuns,
underhandedly,
într-un mod anormal,
in an abnormal fashion,
fără ca să fie consultați părinții
without the consulting of the parents of the children.
și care încalcă drepturile și libertățile omului.
And this undermines the basic freedoms and rights of humans found in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
SOGI
SOGI
este o ideologie
is an ideology that
prin care se va distruge rasa umană.
if taken to its logical conclusion, would undo the human race.
Domnilor guvernanți,
Ladies and gentlemen of the governing bodies,
domnilor profesori,
ladies and gentlemen who are educators,
voi predați matematica,
you teach math,
biologia,
biology,
fizica,
physics,
nu doar ca să informați copiii,
not just to inform the children,
ci ca să o învețe,
but that they may learn the curriculum,
să o cunoască
deeply learn it and know it,
și să o aplice.
and apply it.
Dacă toți copiii vor aplica ideologia SOGI,
But if all children everywhere were to apply the SOGI ideology,
și se vor transforma din băieți în fete și din fete în băieți.
and would change from boys to girls and girls to boys,
Unde credeți că va ajunge societatea umană peste 20-30 de ani?
where do you think the human race is going to end up in 20 or 30 years?
Se va distruge.
It would be undone.
Domnilor profesori,
Ladies and gentlemen who are teachers,
aveți curajul
have the courage
și demnitatea
and dignity
să opriți predarea acestui curriculum în școală,
to stop this propagation of the SOGI curriculum in the schools,
pentru a nu distruge generația de mâine
so as not to harm or destroy the future generation.
și în final umanitatea.
And finally, humankind.
Voi
You
aveți mandatul
have a mandate
să formați oameni
to mold and shape people
integri,
with integrity,
cu caracter,
with character,
normali,
normal,
care să întemeieze familii,
which would begin families,
să fie tată,
to be a father, a
mamă,
mother,
să nască copii.
to have children.
Și aceasta este mandatul.
And this is the mandate.
Dacă există familii normale,
If there exists healthy and wholesome families,
tată,
fathers,
Mama,
mothers,
copii,
children,
bunici,
grandparents,
există binecuvântare,
there exists blessing,
există progres,
development,
există viață,
progress, life.
există perspectivă.
There's perspective.
Uitați-vă și analizați logic.
Look and think logically.
Noi suntem aici,
We are here,
copii,
children,
părinți,
parents,
bunici,
grandparents,
bărbați
men,
și femei.
and women.
E ceva demn,
It is something dignified.
e frumos,
It's beautiful.
este natural,
It's natural.
e normal.
It is normal.
Există viață,
There is life.
există speranță.
There is hope.
Și Canada va fi binecuvântată prin trăirea voastră demnă.
And Canada will be blessed because of your dignified living.
Fiți oameni,
Be real people.
fiți reali,
Be real.
fiți de caracter
Be people of character.
și stați cu capul sus.
And hold your head up high.
Prin această ideologie SOGI
Through the ideology of SOGI,
se distruge în viața femeii
there is a discouragement in the life of women,
pasiunea de a fi mamă
the passion to be a mother,
și în viața bărbatului
and in the lives of men,
pasiunea de a fi tată.
the passion to be a father.
În fond,
In background of it all, behind it all,
se distruge celula de bază a societății, familia.
the building block of society is being destroyed, the family.
Ne luptăm să protejăm regnul vegetal.
I mean, in these days, we fight to protect the environment.
Ne luptăm să protejăm animalele.
We fight to protect the rights of animals.
Îmi pare rău că nu suntem gata să protejăm familia, tata și mama și copiii.
I am sorry to say that we are not always ready to protect the family, the mother, father, and children.
Învățându-i această ideologie,
By teaching
nu-i
them
protejăm,
this ideology, we
ci
don't protect
luptăm
them,
împotriva ei.
but we fight against them.
Eu iubesc pe toți oamenii.
I love all people.
Iubesc diversitatea
I love diversity
și minoritățile.
and all minority groups.
Dar
However,
cum ar fi
what would it be like
dacă comunitatea românească minoritară
if the Romanian community, the Romanian minority,
și-ar impune ideologiile în societatea canadiană?
forced their specific ideologies on the Canadian society?
Dar cum ar fi dacă toate minoritățile din Canada și-ar impune ideologia?
What would it be like if all of minority groups wanted to force their specific ideologies and agendas against Canadian society?
Unde ar fi societatea canadiană?
Where would the Canadian society be?
Comunitatea din care fac parte
The community of which I am part of
este profund indignată
is profoundly indignant.
și cerem Federației Teacherilor din British Columbia
And we ask the Teachers Federation of British Columbia
să reevalueze acest subiect
to reevaluate the subject
și să-și retragă suportul pentru SOGI
and to withdraw their support for SOGI.
și să înceapă consultările normale cu părinții.
And we want them to start consulting normally with the parents of the children.
Noi plătim taxe
We all pay taxes in
în
Canada.
Canada și nu dorim ca banii noștri
And we don't want our tax dollars
să fie folosiți
to be used
împotriva copiilor noștri.
against the upbringing of our children.
Copiii noștri sunt rezultatul dragostei
Our children are the results of the love
între un bărbat
between a man
și o femeie,
and a woman,
între un tată
between a father
și o mamă.
and a mother.
Prin această învățătură SOGI
And through this curriculum of SOGI,
se fură copiilor copilăria.
the childhood of our children is being stolen.
Un înțelept spunea,
A wise man once said,
toate lucrurile își au vremea lor.
all things have their time.
Dacă la maturitate vor lua deciziile, e alegerea lor.
If when they are mature and they want to take their own decisions, that is their freedom.
Dar lăsați copiii să-și trăiască copilăria.
But let children live their childhood.
E dreptul lor normal.
It is their normal right.
E dreptul lor natural și
It
de
is,
viață.
it is their natural right in life
Și nu SOGI.
to have a childhood and not SOGI.
Pentru că avem convingeri.
And now, because we have conviction,
Pentru că avem adevărul.
and because we have truth,
Și lucrurile pentru care protestăm
and because the things for which we protest here
sunt naturale și normale.
are natural and right,
De aceea vă declarăm aici
we here today declare
că nu renunțăm
we will not give up,
și vom lupta pentru copiii noștri până la capăt.
and we will fight for our kids to the end.
Cu prețul sacrificiului și a jertfei.
With the price of sacrifice.
Dumnezeu să binecuvinteze copiii.
May God bless the children.
Dumnezeu să binecuvinteze părinții.
May God bless the parents.
Dumnezeu să binecuvinteze educatorii să-și împlinească chemarea în adevăr.
May God bless the teachers to fulfill their calling in truth.
Dumnezeu să binecuvinteze guvernanții cu înțelepciune,
May God bless the government officials with wisdom
să dea legi
to give laws
drepte și normale.
that are right and normal.
Dumnezeu să binecuvinteze Canada.
May God bless Canada.
Și Dumnezeu să binecuvinteze Ontario pentru lupta lor împotriva ideologiei false.
And may God bless Ontario for their fight against this false ideology.
Vă mulțumesc!
I thank you.
You know, there is an upside to SOGI. SOGI has united parents who are concerned for their kids and given us a cause to join forces. Look at the diversity. This is true diversity of Canada here. This isn't exclusionary. This isn't giving special rights. I have been so amazed at how many awesome people have stepped up and said, Carrie, what can we do? And part of those people, and I'm going to talk with Marianne right now, this Muslim mom who has stood in the gap. And you know what? Bless the Muslim community because their leaders have said, what can we do to stop this? We're having a meeting tonight at the Richmond Mosque. Everyone is welcome. So get details from the ladies at the table there. But I just want to say how wonderful it is to be working with so many great people who are concerned for our children and our freedoms and liberties in this nation we call Canada. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mariam. I came to Canada in 2002 to pursue my PhD studies in electrical engineering. I am a proud and recently concerned mother of 2 boys and 1 girl, raised peacefully in this beautiful country. My older son is now studying at UBC. My family appreciates the Canadian value system, which is based on mutual respect, inclusion, and freedom of religion and speech. During my 16 years in Canada, I never felt that the content of sex education classes was inappropriate for my kids. But a few months ago, when I attended an information night about health education and body science in my youngest child's elementary school, I realized that things have drastically changed. The language of the presentation was not educational nor professional. Explicit details mentioned about sexual relations and activities were overwhelming and confusing even for adults, yet alone 6-year-old kindergarteners. And I really apologize for repeating exact quote, which was the first sentence of the presentation for the kids, which was, "How many holes do you have between your legs?" My questions in that session were answered with cliché sentences, such as, "You have taboo in your culture about sex," or "You can teach your family values at home." That presentation was alarming for me and led me to check out SOGI 123. And shocking news kept coming after that. Last week, I was talking to my friend, whose friend was involved in her child transition from a boy to a neutral at the age of 19. Nothing could stop the teen, and nothing will be able to reverse his decision ever. During the past few months, I have read articles, watched movies, and researched about LGBTQ, and I do feel for the problems they endure. And I speak with no hate in my heart. I am here today to oppose SOGI 123 because, 1, SOGI is not age appropriate and confuses kids about their gender and sexuality. 2, this policy is not designed to educate children about the facts, cons, and pros of certain actions and choices, but to influence them with the idea of gender liquidity and a harmful lifestyle of no limitations and boundaries. 3, SOGI undermines parental rights, cultural values, and family beliefs, which are the backbones of a diverse, free, and democratic society. 4, it is not transparent and puts the school system against family and parents for kids. 5, SOGI is not anti-bullying and pro-inclusion. In fact, it is favoring, supporting, and advocating for one specific minority group. Educating kids about sex should be first and foremost with parental approval, must be age appropriate, giving due consideration to their family's moral values. I am not against people's individual rights and their sexual preferences, but I am against pushing an aggressive and favoring sex education agenda into public school system with taxpayers' money. I believe that BC classroom signs should read, "This place is safe for everyone, not just for LGBTQ." I too believe that love is great and it has no boundaries. But you know what is even greater than love? Comes above love and comes from love. That is life, which is created from a male cell and a female cell. Every one of us here, no matter what we say, no matter what we believe in, no matter where we are on the gender bar, and no matter who we are attracted to, we all share this. We carry history of a man and a woman. And no one can change or alter that beautiful truth. Thank you very much.
So coming up next is Wes Dick. He's from Abbotsford. He has been one of these fathers that first came on board early on and then has just been gaining momentum in his neck of the woods and further and beyond. So please welcome Wes Dick.
Good morning, boys and girls, men and women, fathers and mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers. I just also want to just really welcome the people from the Chinese community. I don't know where you are, the Romanian community, those of Indian descent, the Muslims, the couple that are here, and also just welcome our LGBT protests, the supporters of Israel over there, and also the 3 or 4 constables that are here. And I just celebrate the right to freedom of speech. And I even would like to dialogue and debate with even that lady, the psychiatric nurse, and I want to open up a debate in a calm, and I just celebrate free speech in a calm, in a peaceful manner. And I uphold the police for their presence here, and thank you for them. And so I've been asked to talk about some of my family background in the Soviet Union and Germany, and from 1936 to 1948. Sorry about that, getting used to mics. So I'll just give a brief how I got into this. June 19th, I went to an out-in-schools assembly at Chief Dan George School and middle school, and I will be very brief, but the ARC Foundation is the group that funds this. They also fund the Queer Film Festival. I want you guys to know where the money is coming from, so I'll repeat that. The ARC Foundation funds Out in Schools program, a full assembly to the whole school, as well as the Queer Film Festival. So this is the group. Getting back to Soviet Union and Germany, 1936 to 1948. I'm speaking on SOGI and socialism. Both of my parents were born in the Ukraine under the communist Soviet Union. My parents were familiar with propaganda, especially on the youth under the atheistic government. No Bibles were allowed in the homes. My dad received all biblical and Christian education from the verses and sayings that my grandmother had memorized. My grandfather, was head of the farm commune. Since my grandfather was the supervisor, the secret police, or KGB, would knock on the door in the middle of the night and ask to be taken to a person's house. That man would be arrested, or woman would be arrested without trial and taken to Siberia to the gulags, which are work camps. Generally, they were never heard from again. Approximately 20 to 60 million people lost their lives in gulags and executions due to horrible 14-hour work days, starvation diets, and poor sanitation. In 1944, they fled Ukraine and entered another socialistic country run by the Nazis. Nazi is an acronym for National Socialist Party. In German, Nationale Sozialist. All the kids received a full set of clothes when entering Germany. My dad's parents knew that the clothes had been taken from the children that had died in German concentration camps. I want to give you an example of my Tante Jutta, which means Aunt Judy, who just passed away last year. So her father and oldest brother were taken away from them by the secret police, sent to Siberia. They had to walk all the way from Poland to West Germany with no strong male to protect them. So this is an example of socialism, and I believe that's where our country is headed. So back to the SOGI resource. people ask me if SOGI will ever be stopped. Will SOGI ever be stopped? What do you think about that? An ancient document of promises says that if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways, I will heal their land. So right now in Canada, we have tens of thousands of believers in Christ crying out to their Father to heal their land. In getting back to politics, in 2010, Kathleen Wynne and convicted pedophile Benjamin Levine wrote up Sex Ed in Ontario. That eventually made its way out to BC on September 8th, 2016. 3 readings were passed in one day, September 8th, 2016. That's a little bit treacherous. That doesn't sound very democratic to me. So where is the Wynne government now, those who know politics? So what happened was they only won 8 seats, and as they were decimated by Doug Ford and the Progressive Conservatives. This is recent news. Will SOGI be stopped? Well, what's happening in Canada right now? Just last week, Doug Ford announced he will consult parents on a new sex ed program. Wow, this is just novel idea. Where did he get this wisdom from to consult parents? This is radical, consulting parents. Wow. So until then, he's going to go back to the 1998 program. This is recent news. So take note, Premier Horgan and Andrew Weaver, rescind SOGI and save your political skin while you still can. So in the last year of making this my goal to research where this is coming from, I've come to great wisdom and understanding, but it's a bigger thing than just the LGBTS, QS, 2S plus. It's a political agenda to control kids and separate them from the authority of the parents. If you control the kids, you control the country. In not too recent history, the tools of control were the Hitler Youth and the Communist Youth League, or Komsomol. Now we have socialistic left-wing ideology, including LGBTQ 2S plus rights in that. It's a small part, but it's working in unison. That's only part of it. As in the first 2 youth propaganda tools I mentioned, the government first had to denigrate parental rights. This is history. It's not that long ago. Still my parents' lifetime. This agenda comes from beyond our legislature and parliament. It comes from the United Nations in New York, UNICEF, and left-wing socialistic billionaire investors like George Soros, who is a globalist. A globalist, that means that he wants a one-world government. So getting back to the world, Peru defeated their LGBT school program by nonviolent democratic means. Ontario voted, thank you, your enthusiasm. Ontario voted sex ed out with a premier who wants to consult the parents. BC can vote these left-leaning socialists out as well, starting this October with strong parental advocates in the school boards. So I want to keep my message short and love to have dialogue and hopefully find common ground, and maybe not find common ground. But I believe this is the key for understanding. So thank you very much, and God bless Canada.
Thank you, Wes. You know, Wes touched on our power as citizens, the people power. There's so much we can do when we are united and organized. This October, we have municipal elections coming up. You can vote in new school trustees if you have trustees who brought this nonsense in, town councilors, and even mayors. And I think Port Moody might want to rethink who their mayor is after I tell you what's happened here. We have the power, we have the ability to unite and to, as long as we're singing in one accord, one loud voice, change the face of politics here in BC. We will no longer be ignored. Now we are in a war here. Many of you know that the permit for this place was revoked from us. What place in Canada is supposedly free speech, the public square, and they're telling you, no, you can't join? Well, you know what? This is happening over and over and over again. This voice is trying to be silenced. Your voice is trying to be shut down. Your rights are being trampled upon more and more. And the next speaker, Ronald Brown, is going to tell you what happened to their church when they wanted to hold a youth conference called LGBT, Let God Be True. Well, I'll tell you, there is a story in this, and the story continues. I am so thankful for this church in New Westminster. I'm so thankful for the people. You can see their T-shirts. We're going to make those T-shirts available. We're going to sell those T-shirts, okay? All right, Ronald Brown.
Are we excited today? We're standing for a cause, aren't we? Well, let us sound excited. Let the world know that we're saying no to SOGI. Are you saying no to SOGI? Let the world know that we're saying no to SOGI. No to SOGI. No to SOGI. No to SOGI. Thank you. I just want to thank Carrie, the team at Culture Guard, the team at Parent United Canada, Youth for Canada, all the donors, sponsors, and supporters of this rally. You know, it is not easy to take on the giants, the Goliaths of the land. And we have seen in Culture Guard, Parent United, Youth for Canada, and Carrie, strength, resilience to take on the mighty Goliath, SOGI. I stand here this morning on behalf of the Redeemed Christian Church of God here in BC. And we would want to highlight our support for the work being done by Culture Guard and Parent United in this fight against SOGI 123. You know, out there, once you speak against a particular belief system, once you disagree with a narrative, then they say you are hate speecher. You're hate speech. You promote hate. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not promoting hate. What we're doing is we're voicing our opinion. We are exercising our right to freedom of expression. Gathering today, we are encouraging and promoting freedom of expression and freedom of speech. I have a right to say no to SOGI. Parents, you have a right to say no to SOGI. And all of us here today have that right, and we should exercise that right. I speak on behalf of my church, and I want to say to you, we are not in support of SOGI agenda. We believe that it is an evil and immoral agenda, and it speaks against the plans of God, the natural plans of God for us as human beings. It contradicts God's plan as it relates to gender, identity, and sexuality. Our disagreement with SOGI 123 is not an attack on any individual. It's not an attack on any group. You know, we are here standing and we're saying this agenda, this program that is being introduced to our children, it's wrong. Any program, anything that is being introduced to our children contrary to what our own morals as families, our own morals and views of as a church should be discussed with us. Let us have a say in it. After all, Canada is a democratic country. I am from the Caribbean, and they call the Caribbean third world. And when they refer to certain things, certain actions, they say you expect those in third world countries or underdeveloped countries. Now, Canada is a developed country, and it's a democratic state, and democracy must rule. Ladies and gentlemen, I implore you this morning that you must take a stand. You must take a stand for what is right. You must take a stand for what you believe in. Don't be cowed by the noise. Don't be cowed by the shouting. Don't be intimidated by the alarmists, because we have God on our side. The SOGI program that is being implemented in our school is causing much confusion to our children. And those of you parents who have children, especially in the elementary school, and you discuss with them the things that they are learning in school, it is mind-boggling. It is shocking. Just last night, when they were, I saw on the news when they were reporting about the rollback in Ontario. The station was highlighting what the current sex education program is about. Can you imagine? At grade 6, they're teaching your kids about masturbation. Shame! 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 The values that we have taught our children at home and in the church is being eroded. And it is being contradicted. Now, can you imagine your children being taught certain moral values in your home, and they go to school and they're taught something contrary to your own family system? Is that right? No. Is that right? No. Well, parents, if you think that is not right, then we need to stand up. We need to speak up. We need to speak out against these ills in our society. If this is allowed to continue, we run the risk that Christian morals and values, which are being taught in our churches and in our homes, will no longer stand, because children usually believe what teacher tells them. You know, I am a teacher. I used to be a teacher back home. And I have 3 children. One of them, when they came here and they were going to class, coming home, and I said, don't do it this way. You know what they said to me? Daddy, this is how teacher said it is to be done. I am a teacher. But teacher has so much influence on our kids. So the things that they teach our children must be things that are aligned to our own values and belief system. This program is dangerous, and we better know it. They're telling our children not to talk to us about the things they discuss in SOGI class. Is that right? The moment you hear that, it's red flag. It's a red flag. Because if any adult is going to have conversation with my child about their sexuality, about their identity, and I can't be made aware of such discussion, then something is wrong. Parents, shame on this administration. Shame on the school board. We need to speak out. Parents, we have a right to know. Hashtag. We have a right to know. And we have a right to have a say in what is being taught to our children. We need to send this message, as the previous speaker says, to our elected officials. Elections are coming up. School board trustees. We need, you know, one of the things about school, the name trustee, is that you are placed in trust to take care of the little ones. Since the trustees are taking sides, You're taking sides to a minority group. You're taking side against parents. You're taking side against our children. This must stop. Parents, we're calling on you. We're calling on you to take a stand because indeed this must stop. May I ask you a question today? Are we comfortable with the idea of a male student using the same washroom as your daughters? Are you comfortable with a female using the same washroom or change room as your sons? This cannot be right. Right now there is a case in the US with some government official, and there are some players who said, oh, we were abused in the bathroom because these are the activities that used to take place there. Now, if you know what happened in change room, people go in there, and because everybody is of the same gender, same sex, there is freedom. So people don't necessarily wrap themselves up. People will come out bare as they dare. Because what? All females, all males. Just think about it. When someone else from the other sex is allowed to come into that space, it must stop. Ladies and gentlemen, it must stop. I call on you, every one of us here today, to take this very seriously and to act now. Don't wait on the others. There's a job that everybody must do. If nobody does it, then it won't be done. We must do what each of us need to do. For every occurrence that takes place with the SOGI agenda that they get away with, that we keep quiet, the promoters of SOGI, the promoters of LGBTQ get emboldened and more powerful. We cannot allow that. They're more on our side than on their side. And you'd better believe that. They are more on our side than on their side, but we have become too passive. We have become too complacent. We have become too relaxed. Ladies and gentlemen, parents, we need to rise up. We need to take a stand. We need to move forward. Let us get involved. A change must take place. Change is possible. Change is possible. And it is within you and me that will bring about that change. Can we get out of our state of complacency? Can we move from being passive to being active? Active participation will yield results, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm encouraging you, as you move from that passive state to an active state, that you will do the following. Find time to talk to your children about this SOGI agenda. We have to sit them down. We have to tell them about it. Let them know that it is not according to God's plan. You see, our children, they're fragile. And they're like sponge. You see, if we allow them, they will absorb everything that is thrown at them. But if with guidance, with prayer, we can make the change in their lives. Find time to talk to them about the agenda. Find out about what is happening in your child's school. Know what they're being taught. Talk with your children and reaffirm with them who they are. Tell your sons, you're a boy, and nothing can change that. No feelings can change that. Tell your daughters they are a girl and nothing can change that. You know, we have to stand and start teaching from home. Listen, this is what makes you a boy. Not anatomy. Talk to them. Males have penis. Females have vagina. You cannot be a boy if you have those organs. Your sex is determined by genes and chromosomes. You know, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what SOGI is doing. They're telling you to make a pie. And you make an apple pie. And you know, in order for you to have an apple pie as the end product, apple must be in that pie. When you stir everything up and put it in that oven, all the things that would make it apple pie are in there, right? Can you imagine when the pie comes out of the oven, they're telling you this is a strawberry pie? Can't be. You can't change it at that stage to a strawberry pie. It is an apple pie. When you were born a boy. You're born a girl. Nothing can change that. Ladies and gentlemen, parents, let your children know the truth about their agenda. Let the children know the truth about who God made them. Let them know the long-term impact of the SOGI program if it is allowed to take place. If every boy and girl should feel today that I am a girl or a boy, and you don't have to get married, you don't have to get kids, then in a few years, there won't be anyone around. There won't be anyone around. I want us to understand, when we're talking about God's plan, God tells us that when he said to man, be fruitful and multiply. Listen, if you cannot multiply, then something is wrong. You must be able to multiply and reproduce for future generation. And that is what we're saying. The program that is being implemented is telling our children, taking them on a natural path. We need to stop it. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to, some of us here are members of PAC group in our schools. Let us not be silent in these PAC groups. Let us be influential. Talk to community groups. Talk to your family members. Let them know what we are about. SOGI shouldn't have the right to impose any agenda on our children that we don't like. The aspect of 2 moms and 2 dads should not be imposed on our children because we know that's not right. The ability to choose your gender is not something that is right. Your choice of a gender has been determined before you come on this earth. So when you come, whatever you come with, live with it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm encouraging you. Stand up. I'm encouraging you. Don't give up. Because the fight has just started. Don't get weary. You know, the Redeemed Church of God, we're located in New Westminster, and you know there's a prominent LGBTQ community there as well. But we are not deterred. We have a program coming up next weekend. It's a Get a Grip conference for teens, for youths. And we are going to be talking about sexual identity, sexual purity, by the Word of God, using the Word of God to explain that. Biblical principles on how to view sexual identity and sexual purity. A few weeks ago, we had a flyer that we put on our church premises. Somebody passing took a picture of it and sent it to the media. And I want to say here that we must be careful of the news media, because there are persons in the news media with specific agenda. Right? They called me within less than 24 hours after those posters went up. Our church office was bombarded with calls from the media. And what they want us to know is that why are we promoting hate speech? Why are we promoting hate speech? You know why they say we're promoting hate speech? Because on the flyer, it says Get a Grip conference. And it's a teens and youth conference. And the theme of the conference is, let God be true. LGBT. Ladies and gentlemen, the journalist who called me from the Star, she said to me, why are we using LGBT? My question to her was, is it patented? Is there a patent on the word LGBT? I said, did you read the flyer? I said, it says, let God be true. Thank you. And God is indeed truth. Our theme was inspired by Romans 3, verse 4. And it says, let God be true. Every other man, every other agenda, every other system be a liar. So we can proudly say, SOGI system, SOGI agenda is a liar. It's a lie. And ladies and gentlemen, before the day was out, I got calls from CBC, CTV, and all these people, and you'll be surprised of some of the questions that they ask. They wanted to know if the LGBTQ community member should come to our conference, would we be telling them that the lifestyle that they have chosen is right and that they should continue? I said, God forbid. I said, listen, we are having a session on sexual identity and sexual purity, and it is coming from the Word of God. What we will be teaching is the undiluted Word of God. Anybody don't like it can go. If you don't like it, just go. But ladies and gentlemen, let us not think that this is just an attack on our church. Your church, your community, once you stand up against anything of this form, they will get you, they will come after you. I was privileged last year when the Franklin Graham Crusade came to Vancouver that we were called to the mayor's office in Vancouver to say, shut this thing down. And it was being pushed by the LGBT because they said they fear violence. The question we put to them then was, on whose side will the violence come? We have to stand up, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm saying to you that what they are trying, the Anvil Center has been pressured and they have succumbed to the pressure of a few. And they have cancelled our event. And it was publicized across the news media. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, our conference will hold. Our conference will hold. And I'm encouraging you parents, if you have teens, if you have youths, send them come. Let them come, because we have to stand up and speak. We have to make a statement. You see, the LGBTQ community, you know, they use some letters from the alphabet and then they claim it. One of the things that I said to the CBC person who called me, I said, listen, can you tell me not to use CBC? Can you tell me not to? CBC is a licensed entity. I cannot use Canadian Broadcasting Corporation because that is already patented. But I am free to use any letters of the alphabet. I stand here today to say LGBT stands for Let God Be True. And God is indeed truth. God is indeed truth. The story is long. It is long, but ladies and gentlemen, we must fight this battle and we cannot give up. We will not give up. We will not relent. As I said, they are taking it, they are inching it, they are taking it one step further. They told me that the acronym LGBT coupled with rainbow colors plus Carrie Simpson equal controversy. And I said to them that I asked the question, do you know what the rainbow color signifies? That belongs to God's children. And listen, we have to be bold. And we have to teach our children these things. That, listen, LGBTQ is putting a mockery. They have used some words that we as normal citizens, human beings, become afraid to use nowadays because of the connotation that one may think. When we see the rainbow colors, immediately we think pride instead of thinking of God's promise that he will not destroy this earth again with a flood. When we hear of the word pride, we think homosexuality and lesbianism instead of thinking that, listen, this is something that we are proud about. When we hear of the word gay, what means happy, joyful, cheerful, we look at it from another perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to rise up. We need to take a stand. We need to stop SOGI now. Action is needed now. Action is needed now. And it will take people like you and you and you and all of us here to make it happen. God bless you.
You know, I also, and Ronald didn't tell you, there's a second part to this, though, because this church has the most amazing youth group that has a club at Simon Fraser University. And do you know the student union has revoked their club status now because of this? This will not do, people. We will not tolerate our children being discriminated against and shut down because of a few squawk boxers from the sex activist community. Will you stand with this church and their youth, and when you get information from us, will you contact Simon Fraser University and say, not with my tax dollars will you behave like this? Universities are publicly funded, people. That's our money being used to discipline these children. I will not stand by and allow that to happen. We need to rise up. Did you know that the BC ferries were flying the pride flag last week? Well, if you're on email list for Culture Guard, you would know about this. Government should be neutral. They do not have the right to promote one group over another. Where is the Christian flag? Where is the Muslim flag? Where's the pro-life flag? If we're going to fly flags, let's fly them all. The Canadian flag represents every single person. That is the only flag that should be flying in our schools, in our government buildings, and on our boats. I'm going to do just a quick little thing here before I introduce the last speaker, then I'm going to talk to you just for a few minutes. I know we've been here a long time, and you know what's going to happen is the power on this machine is going to end when I come up to speak, which that would be fun. You know, people power is an amazing thing. We have been here before. In 1997, the NDP brought in a pro-sexual agenda. They wanted to eliminate homophobia and heterosexism from the schools. And the people rose up. And at that next election, because people joined forces, I traveled this province, we had rallies, we had town hall meetings. That government went from a majority government to being left with only 2 seats, because you do not mess with the children. You do not use a political agenda and inflict it upon young minds. And if you do, you are committing political suicide. And we need to send a very clear message to our politicians that we will not tolerate the abuse of our children. The NDP almost got obliterated. We have to come together as a united voice and decide what we are going to do politically, and top of the list has to be the protection of our children and our rights. The last speaker is David Yan. David has been very courageous. He's from Port Coquitlam. David Yan.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not a brave person, but I'm standing here today as a concerned parent to say yes to love, but no to SOGI ideology. Together with many like-minded parents, I take great pains to emphasize that we are not against any person or community, especially people who identify themselves as LGBTQ. But we are standing up against the untruthful side of SOGI ideology that peddles gender spectrum theory as a medical fact in our children's education curriculum. This, we believe, creates unnecessary sexual confusion among our children and exposes them to an increased danger of long-term physical, emotional, and psychological harms. It is a fact that there are non-traditional family units within our society. It is also a fact that there are people who choose to identify themselves in a non-binary way. However, we believe it is medically untrue that one can choose to become a girl or a boy based on feelings. And yet today, such gender spectrum ideology is being taught as a medical fact in schools. We believe it is extremely deceptive and dangerous to mix factual materials with such ideologies. We believe a red line has been crossed when SOGI start to force their gender spectrum theory into our collective public domains and expect everyone to accept their ideology or risk being branded a hater. I'm 40 years old. What would you think of me if I insist that everyone treats me as a 4-year-old and that my driver's license be amended to reflect my delusional age? And yet, we are seeing this kind of gender confusion happening in our schools and society today, no thanks to the gender spectrum ideology. This is the reason why parents, including myself, are standing up and be counted. And we are saying yes to love, but no to SOGI ideology. I believe we can all agree that social and cultural norm changes over time, but biological truth and reality does not. Biological reality is not dependent on a person's state of mind, physical attributes, wardrobe choice, or mannerisms. But I believe it's determined at birth by the X and Y chromosomes given to him or her. This is a medical fact and a reality of life. The truth may be uncomfortable for some, or might even hurt somebody. But history has shown us again and again that not speaking the truth is even more dangerous. We believe that for love to prevail, truth must also prevail together. Last but not least, we are here and we are and should be standing up against racism because the skin color of a person is sacred. For the same reason, sexuality is also sacred. We do not get to choose our own gender or our skin color. I believe that each one of us is wonderfully made, and we should all embrace true diversity and love one another, despite our many differences. However, our children should not and cannot be forced to accept the values and ideologies of SOGI. So again, we as parents are standing up and saying, yes to love, but no to SOGI ideology. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. I love what David said. I'm not a courageous person. Yes, you are. Each one of you is courageous, and each one of you is duty-bound to protect your children. One of the most amazing things that's happened, there's been a lot of amazing things happen, is the amount of people that are now standing up and being leaders, and more are doing that, using their voices. And I want to give you permission to speak with authority. I'm going to give you 2 examples. The Richmond School Board held a meeting, and we had like 400 people pour into the gym there. Our side was told not to bring any signs because we had a big rally out in front where we sent a very clear message that this was not going to be tolerated in Richmond. And our people were told, don't bring your signs in. So everybody orderly left their signs, went into the building. But as I walked around, I saw that they had allowed the pride flags to come in. So I immediately went to the security and I said, you told us no signs. They don't get signs either. And they looked at me horrified. I said, you told us no signs. What's good for us is good for them. And they couldn't argue with me. But because one person stood up and said no to this, each one of those people carrying the pride flag was prohibited from waving it around in front of the TV cameras, okay? As I walked by the bleachers, I saw a woman standing there with all the rainbow colors on her t-shirt, handing out little gifts to the children. And this Muslim father had stopped and his child is looking at him and this nice person smiling. Well, they were handing out little rainbow unicorns. So I confronted the woman. I said, this is a school. It is neutral ground here, no political symbols. And she said, okay, and she went away. People, we have to speak into these situations. When you see something like this, if you see a business with a rainbow safe place for LGBT, say, well, wasn't this safe before? That's a political symbol, okay? We have to start getting that message out that we will no longer tolerate this proliferation of political propaganda. Now, I found out that this rally, the permit for this rally had been canceled at 11 o'clock the day before yesterday. Now, our side tends to do everything right. We get the permits, we try to be obedient, law-abiding, and all those things. But we are continuously getting shut down because all it takes is 2 phone calls from a sex activist and say, oh, they're going to have a hate rally. And boom, our rights to gather and assemble are over. In this case, if I got arrested here today, so be it. If I got fined here, because at some point we have to lay down the law and say, we're not going to be bullied anymore by this. We need to be bombarding the Anvil Center saying, we do not tolerate your bullying of this church group and their youth. We need to be more active, people. We are losing our rights because we are complacent and we are distracted. I don't care if you have to look at this like a sporting event. If that's what it takes to keep your attention, so be it. And it is rather a sporting event these days. So when I found out at 11 o'clock the night before last that this rally had been canceled, I know a thing or two about the law, and I also know that I am willing to get arrested on behalf of all of you. I'm so thankful to see so many of you were willing to join me. There was a plan B. If we did get arrested, they were going to go move the rally in front of the police station, okay? But I called the city manager yesterday, and I said, what are you doing, you know? And they said, oh, well, bylaw this, bylaw that. And I said, well, the Supreme Court of Canada has said that government-owned parks, that means parks that we own, are one of the best and most precious and protected public squares there is in all of our land. We do not need a permit to be here today. We have every right to be here. The Supreme Court of Canada has said so, not that I have great faith in the Supreme Court of Canada. But you know what? I recorded my conversation with the city manager. And I said to him, well, why would you revoke this permit? He said, well, you might offend some of the people at the park. And I said, well, last time I looked at the Charter of Rights, I had the right to free speech, freedom of assembly. I did not see a provision protecting me from being offended. I get offended all the time. We have the right to speak truth. We are not responsible for the internal workings of people who haven't emotionally developed themselves to recognize and respect other people have rights. I will never address a biological man as being a woman. I do not have to acquiesce to their delusion because that's what they're asking us to do now. Ignore your reality and buy into the delusion. It isn't going to work. So late last night, I wanted to see what kind of protests we could get out here because there's a few social media networks that we monitor to see what kind of trouble is going to happen. So I found this on a transgender activist by the name of Nicola Sperling. He dresses as a woman, is friends with Morgane Auger, who's one of the big trans activists. And Nicola has on his Facebook posting this event. Culture Guard is hosting an anti-SOGI rally at Rocky Point. Well, there was a bunch of confusion within the sex activist camp, and I call them sex activists, you know why? Because not everybody in the LGBTQ community agrees with what the sex activists are doing. They are probably the most discriminated group, the ones that support us, because for fear they cannot come out to a rally like this because they will be ostracized, victimized, and bullied within their own community, which is a sad commentary. So Nicola Sperling puts this on, and then there's a bunch of chatter on the thread going, well, I thought the event got canceled. They revoked the permit. But then guess who she refers to, or he refers to, as having called. The mayor then contacts Nicola and said, my understanding is they're still having the rally. Well, do you think I could get a hold of the mayor yesterday? No. But apparently he makes special calls to sex activists. So then we see a bunch more threads of who's going, who's doing this. And then we see this posting by the mayor here at Port Moody. And Mike Clay says this to the sex activists: please don't evoke violence, which means cause as much disruption as you can. Everyone has a right of expression, not hate speech. And although we have revoked the permit, everyone is welcome in the park, which belongs to the people. Well, and there I agree with him on, yes. They knew they did not have the legal right to deny us, but they will bully us if they can. This is a good lesson for everybody. There may come a time that we get arrested. I hope not, because that would be a sad commentary on what we have here in Canada. And if it ever does come to that point, boy, we better really stand up and go to war. If a teacher like Waldine gets fired, we better have her back, people, and there would be a price to pay for that. She's got a union. Yeah, a union that wants to fire her, yeah. So what do? Where do we go from here? Well, I'll tell you what we do. We've got a few things on the go. We have the Stop SOGI Coalition, which is bringing together groups from across BC that are joining us and saying, we will work together to stop SOGI. In BC, we have a piece of legislation called the Recall and Initiative Act, and that is all about people power, people. If we get enough people across BC in every electoral district to sign a petition, now this petition matters because they have to listen to it, we can stop SOGI. What is it going to take? It's going to take everybody here to step up and be willing to help in some capacity, because what we'll have to do is get 10% of registered voters in every electoral district. There are 87 electoral districts. We will need teams of volunteers in each one of those districts to help out with this. It can be done, it has been done, and we will succeed. We're also initiating legal action to get an injunction to stop SOGI until such time as we can get the initiative off. SOGI was brought in illegally. An order in council mandated the involvement of parents. Parents have a responsibility and duty to have been consulted in this. You as parents have the right to set educational goals, policies, and the services of the education system. You were completely ignored out of that process. We're hoping the court will agree with us and put a full stop on SOGI until that process can be completed properly. In the meantime, we'll get our initiative going. So the most important thing at this point with the initiative is that everybody who qualifies become a registered voter for BC, okay? Super important, because that's the only people that can sign the petition. You have to be registered as a BC voter. We're also going to be looking at other things. We need advertising funds, because there are still parents that don't have a clue what SOGI is. It's going to be up to us to give them that information. There is lots of literature over there. Take it. Hand it out. If you need more, tell us. Okay? But we, between newspapers and social media and media, are going to have to be the information chain for the people because the government isn't going to tell them. There is a lot of good things happening, and together we can do it. Most important is that we have your email address and your postal code so we know where everybody is, okay? We have people like Waldine, who is going to run as a school trustee. So anyone in Coquitlam, right now is a good time to get organized so you can help Waldine. Meet them over by the blue bicycle, the bicycle with the helmet right behind my best Romanian protest protector person there. Just behind this tent, all Coquitlam people who will help Waldine get elected, okay? We need these kinds of support committees in every community because there are people who are rising up and standing. If you feel led to be a leader in your community, to sit on the school board, we will teach you, we will help you get trained on what that means and what that involves. We can do this. We can take back our province, but in order to do that, we have to stand together. We need fundraising. Advertising is going to cost a lot, and trust me, lawyers are not cheap, right? But there are a lot of things happening right now that you need to know about it because our freedoms are being challenged as we speak right now. There is a man by the name of Bill Walcott being hauled up before the Human Rights Commission because he refuses to acknowledge a transgendered man as a woman. That could be you, it could be me next time. We need to stand behind these people. We need to make sure that our friends and neighbors, you know what the most important thing you can do is tell 5 people about what's going on. That's one of the most important things. If we hold another rally, bring those 5 people and tell them to bring 5 people. That's how we are going to get this done. Coming out to things like this sends a very strong message. We are not going away. We are here to stay, and we will crush SOGI. Thank you all so much for coming out on this beautiful Saturday morning. I'm just always so impressed with all the kerfuffle over you're going to get arrested. I am so proud of you all for coming out. That is amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. God bless you. Protect your kids. They are the most important thing in this world for all of us. Next in line, protect your liberties, okay? Let's work together. Thank you.